guys, we are taking a look at an incredibly promising upcoming game called Everlast Undying Tale. It's a co-op action RPG that is also fully playable single player, coming from In Spades, a small indie studio. The game is set in a handcrafted fantasy kingdom, and the whole thing leans into fairy tale, rather than something extremely dark and gritty. Quick disclosure up front, this video is sponsored. I'm working with In Spades on it, and I thank them for fully respecting my editorial independence. The game has a Kickstarter live for the game right now, with the link in the description, and I want to walk you through everything worth knowing about this title, and why it may be worth backing for you. I'm not simply going off a trailer here either, I actually spent some time in one of the exclusive builds. So, story-wise, you end up cursed by death, and turned into someone who I guess could be described as an undead. And the more power you pull out of that curse, the more of yourself you risk losing along the way. At one point I died out in the world, and this voice just shows up in your head. Turns out it's death itself. Kind of smug about the whole thing, cracking jokes about giving you a second chance, while also kinda charging you to get your stuff back. It's a weirdly charming way to introduce what's supposed to be a pretty heavy curse mechanic. From there, the story is about making some uneasy kind of peace with death, and pushing the undead back before they take the whole kingdom. Combat is real-time, third person, and honestly rougher than I expected, at least early on. It is possibly one of the most unpolished aspects yet, which makes sense of course given the development status. I nearly died to a crab, then almost died again to a chicken right after, which may be embarrassing to say out loud. But that's what happened. The hitboxes and movement of your character definitely have room to improve. On top of your weapon skills, you've got special abilities coming from the curse itself. If you lean into them more, they get stronger. Now, a lot of this game actually reminded me of Runescape. Not because the combat's exactly the same, it is more action focused here, but because of the progression. Your character grows through individually leveled skills, like mining, fishing, cooking, woodcutting and tailoring, while your combat build comes from the weapons and abilities that you choose to use, rather than being locked into a class. The crafting isn't simply restricted to clicking a button either. Of course, you gather your material, refine it at a furnace or whatever the station is, and then often there's an actual little timed sequence that you do by hand before the item's finished. If you mess up the timing, then you still get something, just in lower quality. Something that's fairly impressive even in the early state here is the world design itself. It is clear from the get-go that tons of work and love went into making the world feel authentic and actually sprawling. The world feels surprisingly alive. The performance definitely does tank though, and it does greatly need optimization. The game has no business having massive frame dips on a 4090 graphics card, but that stuff is expected for these early builds. You can go through this game entirely solo if you want, or bring your friends, and as far as I'm concerned, you're able to hop between different servers without losing your gear or progress. Outside of combat, there's a genuinely big list of non-combat skills, all treated as long-term progression, rather than a mere filler. I ended up doing a whole side job, sharing sheep for a farmer, then got roped into filling in as a substitute chef for a birthday feast, cooking up a vegetarian dish to win over a very dramatic night. None of this felt like padding, it all just kind of happened naturally while I was exploring. A lot of the whole system borrows from old school MMO progression, Runescape being the clearest touchstone, though they are clearly not trying to make an actual MMO. Worth being upfront, some stuff isn't confirmed yet. No official word on PvP, mounts, or player housing, at least based on my research. So don't go in expecting those day one. Right now, the plan is Q4 2026 on PC via Steam. There's a lot here that feels like a genuinely different pitch. A cursed undead lead, slow skill-based progression, a death system with actual stakes, and optional co-op that doesn't demand a full MMO commitment. It is of course still rough in places, since it's not out yet. But if any of that sounds like your kind of game, go back Everlast Undying Tale on Kickstarter, while the campaign is still live, starting July 27.